I don't think Mickelson's golf actually stacks up.
Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm going to mix it up. I'm joined by young Sir Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Nearly.
How are you, Bruce?
I'm very well, thanks, Thomas. How are you?
I'm okay. And Sam Williams?
Hello, greetings, boys. How are we?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Pumped after the PGA.
Yeah, it's been a very, very hectic week. We should probably start with a little bit of an apology. It's taken us a few days to get the pod out because we've just got a lot going on, haven't we? One of our listeners sent us a clipping from an article in City AM saying that there's rumours that the Jar are investing in a satellite sort of headquarters up at Castle Stewart. I don't know whether we're in a position to confirm or deny these rumours, but...
I could neither confirm nor deny whether we have a satellite office at Castle Stewart. We are spending an inordinate amount of time up there, but which probably brings us on to, the sponsor for this week. I'd like to thank our official and unofficial sponsor this week, which is EasyJet. You can jump on a plane at a fair amount of money and go to Inverness, and they take your money. They charge you. Speaking of our old sponsor that we fell out of love with, which was the Brabazon Halfway House, for their £5 coffees. EasyJet, I think, rival it for, £4.50 black filter coffee or whatever they charge, which is extortionate. But no, it was good. It was I went up to Castle Stewart again on Sunday, watched the last day of the PGA from Castle Stewart. Was a hell of a watch.
Can we just dial in on that flight a little bit? I don't want EasyJet to get too much of a slamming on there. How much was the flight up from Bristol, wasn't it, you flew?
I flew from Bristol, but to be fair, the official sponsor was going to be Loganair, which I probably, in the way that we run the official sponsor, I think they should be the sponsor because they wanted to charge me £450 to fly up. And that really would be a sponsorship material.
You didn't pay that. What was it, about 200? What about 100? Like, all joking aside, because when you shared the details of that on the story, I was like, oh my God. Was it you checked in at 2, you flew at 3, and you were hitting golf balls before 5 p.m. From Bristol? That thing's like an 11-hour drive from Bristol. And it was about 160 quid the flight. I mean, that is crazy good.
It was 130. It was 80 there, 50 back, something like that. And then I did pay to check a golf bag on. So that was...
Isn't that brilliant?
Quid.
What's it like being on a plane again as well? I mean, after so long.
It's weird. They make you got your mask on. And I had heard rumors if you bought a coffee, you could sit there with a coffee in front of you and you could take your mask off, but that's not what it is. Like as they're serving you the coffee, they're saying, right, mask off to sip it, mask back on in between sips. So it's...
Oh, that is awful, isn't it?
That seems ever so slightly over-engineered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was it's luckily it's only an hour and 15 minutes to fly.
To be fair, you could have just straight armed it and then done away with any of the COVID danger.
Yeah. So
what about...
got to come out with 3rd-degree burns, but...
Yeah.
What about the rest of the plane? Were there many people on there? Was it fairly quiet? Was it? Really?
Yeah.
God.
The airport was dead, because there were only 2 flights from Bristol. And I went over to the baggage handler and I said, so as an aside, when I booked these, this is not an endorsement to behave like this, but when I booked the flights, you could buy a 23 kilogram bag for 50 quid return or something. But if you wanted to buy sports equipment, it was 80 quid return. So I was like, well, I'll just buy the 23 kilo bag and put it in oversize. So I did that. No problem on the way up. Just weighed the bag, took it down to oversize. On the way back.
Strap life. You're not going in a tall bag, are you?
Yeah.
Mackenzie, half a dozen irons.
Exactly. But on the way back, the woman at the counter was like, in all, I should charge you extra for this. Are there golf clubs in there? So, well, there's some tripods in there. There are also golf clubs in there, but mostly it's tripods.
It's not solely sports equipment.
Yeah. I've also got my pants in there, so that's useful. But no, I think I don't know why they would charge you double or more to to put golf clubs on as opposed to normal baggage. But
yeah, it's taking up the same amount of space, isn't it?
Winged it and got away with it. But I chatted to the guy and I said, look, this seems dead, the baggage handler. And he said, this is busy. There was 12 people in the terminal when I spoke to him, and he was like, this is busy. It's
well, we're getting a very detailed dissection of this. I don't know whether this is going to be a travel and transport podcast, and we're moving off golf. But
there are more important
I think the key piece to underline here is that was pretty remarkable. Stuart, we've been up to Castle Stuart obviously a couple of times now. Stuart, the general manager, waxes lyrical about kind of the ease of access, and you think, take it with a pinch of salt. And when you look at the numbers there in terms of how you did that, it's like, yeah, to be fair, that's almost easier than getting to the south coast from London. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty straightforward.
Just as an aside, Castle Stuart do offer a service where they pick you up from the airport, and the airport's small. Inverness Airport, like you get off it, they almost hand you your bag as soon as you get off. Yeah, they almost hand you your bag as you get off. So, and Castle Stuart drive to the door of the airport. They pick you up and drive you the 5 minutes it is to the first tee. So it's like it's rapid and it's good fun, and it's proved a point that you can do it, which is good. But anyway, while I was up at Castle Stuart, I was on my Todd. I watched the last day of the PGA, which was incredible viewing.
It was actually, highly, highly compelling stuff. Who are you guys backing when that final round started? Not only
Phil.
who did you want to win, I think pretty much we all wanted Phil to win. I'm going to just speculate wildly there, but I mean, were you thinking Koepka's going to come through? Were you fancying Louis Oosthuizen? Or were you just confident that Phil was going to hold on?
I wouldn't have been able to call it, to be honest with you. If someone had a gun to my head, I'd have said Oosthuizen and Koepka would have definitely had an equal share chance at worst, if that makes sense. Like, I thought Phil's probably 1 in 3, 1 in 4 to pull this off. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. Like, a lot of people grew up watching a lot of Tiger as a junior, and obviously that was great. But for me, Phil Mickelson was always kind of the most inspiring golfer for me to watch growing up for some reason. And I've been a long time fan of Lefty, and seeing him do that was like genuinely amazing. Like, I was pulling for him so hard. It was just an unbelievable victory, wasn't it? But I really did think there's so much disaster in the locker with Mickelson. You never know what's going to show up. I mean, I famously said on this podcast that his golf just doesn't stack up. But
let's play it. Let's see what it sounds like.
I don't think Mickelson's golf actually stacks up, so he's not in my side either. On form versus if there was ever a soundbite that could find its way onto a clickbait, we need to talk about clickbait at some point. But his golf doesn't stack up over the last 12 months to warrant a Ryder Cup place with the other 70 golfers that are ahead of him, or 61 golfers that are ahead of him in the world rankings.
I mean, that's not ridiculous. That was, if you consider that
that was when he was in the era.
It actually wasn't.
It was a fair.
It wasn't ridiculous. But I mean, let's just people saying, Phil Mickelson, he's got pedigree. Why should we be surprised that he's won? It's like, he was ranked 106th in the world
with no form,
going into the
no form.
Yeah, with no form going into it. And I mean, for a guy who is known to be a really erratic driver of the golf ball, to literally lace driver 360 down the slot on a 25-yard fairway on 15 and 16 after Koepka's done it was just ridiculous, I thought. Hats off to him. So, but yeah, I mean, it's there's so much to unpack in this victory. I mean, winding it back a couple of weeks, which I think is when he says his preparation began. I found it pretty extraordinary that he was like, I'm playing 36 holes, 54 holes a day, just to try and hone in my focus so that when I get to 18, it actually seems fairly straightforward and not too taxing on the mind.
He talked a lot about this fatigue stuff. That was getting an inordinate amount of coverage on the broadcast, wasn't it? Meditating. There's a lot of talk about him walking slowly and stuff through shots. So, I mean, I don't know, you kind of think he's quite a fit guy. Why would he be struggling to maintain concentration? But clearly, it's had an impact, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean? So he's obviously put himself through 54 holes medal play in a day so that 18 just feels like a complete breeze.
Yeah, very deliberate behind the ball. You could see like he was sort of doing some deep, some sort of deep nose breathing from behind the ball. And
it was reminiscent of. Do you remember Jason Day went through a period of like fluttering his eyebrows as he was about to hit shots and going into some sort of
some kind of trance. Yeah, and I'm sure Phil would have been doing the same if he wasn't wearing those highly reflective sunglasses that he's probably in no way affiliated with. Does anyone know what brand they are, by the way? I mean, I'm actually quite interested.
They look like the sort of thing you get on a service station, don't they? To be honest,
it looks like something out of Top Gun, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're not the best, are they? But I don't know how else to kind. I mean, when you look at his numbers, obviously strokes gained tee to green, he is right up there. So I think for the whole event, he was number one, hands down. Putting, interestingly enough, is pretty mediocre. So he's 37th ranked for the event. So whilst it felt like he was very steady from short range, clearly he wasn't making up massive shots there. He's got no business at the age of 50 years of age to be number one strokes gained tee to green when you look at the breadth and the quality of some of those younger players. And you look at him on the Saturday and he was just throwing himself at driver.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, to labour, I'm not to labour that driver point that I mentioned earlier, but when Rory McIlroy, who is without doubt probably the best driver of the golf ball over the last 10 years, says, yeah, I mean, it's quite a penal golf course. This is off the tee, driving's the strength of my game, and I just didn't feel comfortable because I'm still not driving it as I'd like to. When the best driver of the golf ball says that, you realise what a demanding test Kiawah is off the tee. And yeah, as I say, I mean, Phil Mickelson, one of the most erratic drivers, it makes it even more remarkable. It's not like he's played a wide open course or a second shot golf course. He's hit the ball unbelievably well. And I think the fact he's done it with a 48-inch driver as well just makes it even more absurd. But then again, I mean, some people reckon maybe that helps his swing because he tends to get a bit steep, and maybe a 48-inch driver helps him shallow it out a bit. But I mean, either way, it's worked an absolute treat, hasn't it?
He was practicing with that 48 a little while ago, but he dumped it. How long's he had it in the bag? Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure. I know it's it might not be 48. It might be 47 and a half. It's certainly a good 2.5 to 3 inches longer than a standard driver, though.
That's an enormous difference.
He's a big boy anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
What would 2.5 inches translate to on a golf club? Is that like the difference between like a 7 and a 4 iron or something like that?
Could be. Yeah, maybe even more.
Massive difference from a stock driver length. I mean,
might be even more than that.
And it was just. I thought he was very resilient as well. I mean, a number of times you thought he's got enough clear here. He's 4 shots clear, I think, a couple of times. Koepka didn't look clinical, but he was never out of it, and he was always just a birdie. And there was a lot of 2-shot swings. There was a number of times he could have gassed it. He just looked very, very kind of assured in terms of what he was doing. And I think it was probably the best advert I've ever seen for, not playing golf with a steering wheel. He just played all that aggressive stuff. I think, was it 12 or 13 where he binned it in the water just off to the right?
On Saturday.
He did it. No, he did it on the Sunday as well. Do you remember?
That was with the second shot. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was just an example of, I'm just taking dead aim. I'm going to play at the flag and I'll deal with the consequences, rather than I'm in contention. I'm just going to fan one out to the left and then, start the slow bleed from here.
Just before we skip on from his driving there, I mean, we've talked on this podcast before about statistics and things like that, and how approach play is the most important factor in the whole of golf if you want to score. Just to highlight that point, Mickelson, I don't know if you boys have got the stats in front of you. Where do you think he ranked strokes gained in driving accuracy? Now, you won't get it.
Off the tee was 29. I don't know where he was at. But in terms of accuracy, no idea.
101st. 101st in the field.
See, that doesn't add up.
That's weird. What percentage of fairways is that, though?
So on the round 1 was 42%, round 2, 78%, round 3, 50%, round 4, 50%. So it just shows, though, he's bombing it. So, like, in terms of driving distance, he's 21st. So it's 313 average. So he's putting it so far down there that he's able then, with his approach play, to get himself back up tee to green as first. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, his approach play was the best part of his game. I mean, amazingly, just looking through the approach play stats, Martin led number 1 strokes gained approach for the week. Absolutely bled out on the greens.
Did he?
76,
-10.
76 around the greens, 66 putting. I mean, it was, and there's only about 80 players that have made the cut. So that's got to hurt.
Yeah. I mean, with Phil, though, I think it's interesting because you probably wouldn't find someone who's ranked that highly in approach play driving the ball that erratically, because although he's hitting it a mile down there, like, it is genuinely harder out the rough. And I think it's, depending on which stats you look at, if you're mediocre out the rough on tour, you probably need to hit the ball 50 yards further in the rough to hit it as close with your second shot as you would be from 50 yards back on the fairway. And for a good approach player, it's probably something like 25 yards. So, you know, it's not all just a case of like bombing it down there. At the end of the day, hitting fairways makes such a huge difference in terms of proximity to the hole. But with someone like Mickelson, because he's such a good iron player and good at like reading lies out the rough and hitting shots out the rough, like that shot he on 18, for example, I thought, well, there's a realistic prospect here. He could airmail the green, or it could come up a bit short. He could make bogey. Koepka could make birdie, and then you've got a playoff on your hands, and you've already got 20,000 people on the fairway. I thought that was a bit premature, but I mean, yeah, when he hit that shot into 12 feet, it was pretty much all over, wasn't it? And that's because he just hit an absolutely superb short iron in out of a hanging lie. Yeah.
What's the thoughts on his age? Like, there's been so much about the well-being stuff. 60 black coffees a day. I don't know how much he's eating. He's clearly, like, on the face of it, all the thumbs up and the smiles, he's like a mega friendly guy. But I can imagine behind the scenes, he is like on a different planet. He must be completely tapped.
Well, works hard at it all.
Well,
yeah, he's in the gym.
He's obviously obsessed. He's into all these newfangled regimes, everything going on. He's obviously... he's out there. I mean, he's not Bryson level on some of this stuff, but he's definitely out there. Has he wound his body back 10 years? Like, you know,
well, he's got arthritis. Yeah. So he's got some kind of arthritis. I think he was diagnosed with maybe 10 or so years ago, which is in remission at the moment. And I think he credits a lot of that down to diet, you know, fasting, getting in the gym, just living a little bit more healthily and being active. So, yeah, I mean, he's clearly very dedicated to it. But I guess, like, ultimately, if that has been your career, if golf has been your life and you've been at the top of the sport for however many decades, like, it must just be hard to sort of jack it all in and go and do something else. Clearly, he just is continuing to apply himself with the same discipline and intensity that he did when he was maybe 24, 25 years old.
I was just so chuffed for him.
Yeah.
Like, when you go back to who are you backing before the round started, like, I just thought Koepka would turn the dial up. I thought, you know, and considering Koepka played poorly, really. I mean, I think he went around the par fives in 3 over or something like that, 4 over. I think he went bogey, par double. And to be within 2, I mean, I thought Koepka would apply a little bit more pressure.
I wasn't surprised. I mean, that's when go back to that original question. I actually got to say I wasn't that surprised he didn't play his best, because he's been near the lead a few times now. I think at Harding Park last August, was it, in the PGA? A couple of other moments where he's just been right around the lead and just not really delivered in the way that we're used to seeing. And I wonder whether some of that is down to the knee surgery, not being fully fit. It seemed like he hit the ball really, really well certainly for the first few holes, maybe the first 9 holes on Sunday. Like, it actually looked like he hit it really, really good, but the putter just absolutely left him, didn't it? I mean, the short putts he was missing.
On round 4, it was penal, wasn't it? But actually, when you look at the numbers, you know, for the event, Mickelson 37 strokes gained putting, Koepka 44. That's not, the shots have gone around the green. That's where it drops off, because, you know, everything else, there's pretty good overlap. So Koepka was actually better off the tee for the week than Mickelson, albeit marginally. He was 2 spots behind him on approach play. He was second strokes gained tee to green versus Mickelson's 1. The difference is 18 around the green and 43 around it for Koepka. Actually, there's not that much difference, but the numbers don't really matter, actually, because it's all, that's the average over the week.
Yeah.
He pissed it away, didn't he? Let's face it. Around, I think he doubled two from nowhere.
Well, he had a wedge in his hand, didn't he? Like he had an 80-yard wedge shot probably in his
He
hand.
blew it right on that par 5 at the start of the back 9. He missing 3-foot putts that were really out of character, I thought, for him. They were not.
Yeah. All week as well. All week he was
74th strokes game putting, I think maybe in round 2 or something like that.
That was a poor putting
Way
performance.
down there. So,
but I'll tell you what, though, the thing with Brooks, like this arrogant, I'm better than everybody in the world and I know it, look, works as long as you're winning.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it just looks like you're being a petulant little prick. Know what I mean?
yeah, I wouldn't even say it's arrogance. To me, it actually just comes across as like, I'm not going to give you the time of day. Like, you're not, maybe it is arrogance. You're kind of not worth my time. Why you're asking me stupid questions? It just, it seems so unbelievably kind of selfish, really, as if like, oh, my time's just worth more than everyone else's here. Like, why am I having to give this interview?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I love the nonchalance and the arrogance of Koepka when he's winning on repeat and when he just breezes in, wins, walks off into the sunset. When you're missing 3-foot putts and then acting like a sport brat in front of the cameras, it's probably not the best look.
Well, I think it was just the comments, wasn't it, after the sea of people?
Well, he was called up on it, wasn't he? Talking about, I find it hard to pick the lines.
I didn't see this video, and I'm so
How
gutted.
have you not seen it? Have you
because
been
it's been stripped off. It's been stripped off Twitter. Yeah, so like every link I've tried to click on it. I was pretty busy on Tuesday, and I think it was Tuesday when it was surfacing around. And by the time I checked it,
it was
Wednesday
everywhere.
morning or Tuesday evening, I literally couldn't. Yeah, so all I've seen is a screenshot of like DeChambeau in the background and Koepka sort of rolling his eyes, but I've not seen the actual.
Can we double down? Why has it been taken off though? That's quite strange.
Well, you can imagine the Golf Channel are running around with like big hose pipes, just trying to put out fires absolutely everywhere. That this has been leaked. Well, it's clearly. I mean, he says, the guy, the interviewer says, we'll start again. We won't do that. And he's like, oh, well, I don't fucking care. You can put it on if you want. Which they obviously did put it on, or somebody's leaked it. But I think the Golf Channel or NBC, whoever were supposed to be airing that, I don't think they were meant to release that. I think that's why it's been taken down. But for Bruce,
why not though? Why not? Like, I know you shouldn't be airing
it,
but it's like,
it's out there now.
Yeah, that's an accurate reflection, clearly,
you
of the relationship.
Put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's impossible. You can't do it, can you?
For those of those that haven't seen it, like Bruce, I'll describe it. So Brooks Koepka is being interviewed. What do you think about the course or whatever, and your putting performance? You're missing a few 3-putt putters, whatever. Brooks starts giving a response, which is along the lines of, I'm just finding it really hard to read the greens. I can't see the breaks. I don't know what the other guys are saying. As he's saying this, DeChambeau walks behind with his obnoxiously loud metal spikes on directly behind Brooks. And he says
like
something
crampons, aren't they?
Quite pick up on the microphone. And Brooks's reaction is like, oh, for fuck's sake, I just hate this guy. His eyes are rolling. The disdain through this guy's face is very obvious. And what has come out that he said is Bryson's walking behind him mid-interview and said, helps when you start him online.
And sorry, and Koepka's just said, I fucking hate this guy.
I can't deal with this bullshit. And he's just like, it was like it was a proper little hissy fit. And he was like, should we start that again? He was like, yeah, honestly, I don't care, guys. Basically, I mean, they're now going to run with this story forever. It is never going to stop. We're going to have all of it going on. The Ryder Cup, it's going to be a constant soundtrack.
No, I can't wait.
I think we've got the gist. Brooks doesn't particularly like Bryson. Bryson doesn't particularly have much time for Brooks. They're probably not going to be paired together at the Ryder Cup. We're now going to hear this forever. It was quite a good story on Tuesday, but you just watch how much they're going to run with this.
He's a quick player, isn't he, Koepka? And DeChambeau is obviously very deliberate. Yeah. And I seem to remember, when everyone was having a go at DeChambeau for his pace of play, Koepka was right at the top of that.
Oh yeah,
that list. And then didn't they also poke fun again? I mean, I feel like I literally know all the context to this relationship without actually having seen the video, because in trying to look at the video, I've come across all these articles thinking, oh, I'm gonna see this video, and it's been taken down everywhere. But another thing I read was DeChambeau, obviously in his gym phase, was like, yeah, Koepka's a little bit overweight. He's got a little bit of a belly. And then I think Koepka sort of tweeted back at him being like, yeah, I'm just too short of a 6-pack. And it was his 2 US Opens and 2 PGA Championship trophies. And this was at a stage when DeChambeau hadn't won a major. And it's just like, oh,
it was
God.
all the stuff too short of a 6-pack, wasn't it?
And also, if you remember that a few years back when Bryson tried to get relief from the fire ants, do you remember? And then Koepka, in like a round a couple of days later, called the referee over and said, I'm a bit concerned about these fire ants, and just starts laughing.
It was Jimmy, wasn't it? His caddy. He was like, I think we got ants here or something. I don't know.
So there's obviously a bit
clearly
of beef
no love lost. Like, do we care? Probably not really either. Like, I mean,
it's good fun though, isn't it? It's good entertainment.
One thing I do want to talk about. Can we talk a little bit about Harrington?
Yeah, unbelievable.
It was a smoke show. Absolute smoke show.
He's going to be in the Ryder Cup. He'll have to pick himself.
Could you imagine that, actually? Could you imagine if all of a sudden he's just inspired now to just go on a complete tear for the remainder of the season and post a load of good results, maybe notch up a win or something? I mean, we're getting far too ahead of ourselves, but that's just, standard operating procedure for the cookie jar, isn't it? But how good would that be if he was playing captain?
I think it's probably got some way to go, hasn't it? But I just think absolutely incredible.
Mm.
So pre-tournament, 257th in the world, and now he's at 140. It's a pretty decent jump. A couple of good
big leap, yeah.
And he's in by rights. He can't even not pick himself.
I'll tell you what's strange, actually, just talking about the coverage. I mean, it was a great final round to watch, but I couldn't help but notice there were some players on the top of the leaderboard or near the top of the leaderboard who you just literally didn't even see in that final round. Like Christian Bizzino, he was
in contention for most of it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he started in like maybe a third to last group or something like that, or perhaps the fourth to last group.
I think he pooed the bed at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, I saw him hit one putt on the front 9, and that was it.
Tied fourth, Harry Higgs. Don't think I saw a shot.
Yeah. Again, I mean, Zalatoris.
Debut major performance from Higgs, that was, I think. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was his first major or his first PGA.
Your favourite player, Bob Mack? Didn't really see much of him, did we?
No, let's not talk about Bob Mack this week.
Ricky Fowler making the top 10.
One interesting observation from all of this is actually seeing someone like, Shane Lowry, when he won at Portrush, I thought he fell from grace quite quickly. He's gradually building up some momentum here.
Mm.
He placed really well in the Masters from memory. He's had a few reasonable tournament showings. That was a great performance at the PGA. Flies fully under the radar.
Again, though, didn't see much of it.
No,
did we? It was like,
no.
I didn't realize. I thought, oh God, Harrington's playing really well. Clearly, Shane Lowry's just kind of, helping him get this across the line. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh wow, they're on the same score.
Yeah, and it's all you could do to see a bit of Oosthuizen, which, by the way, he is the best bridesmaid in town. Like, how often can you keep showing at that level and just not getting close to winning? Like, he never looked like winning, did he, on the final day, Oosthuizen? And yeah, he's always up there. Like, such a good major bet to have him kind of top 10.
He has got a major, to be fair.
Yeah, but he just doesn't look like he's going to go on and win other big tournaments, does he? He never looks like, he's always there, but I'm never sort of thinking Oosthuizen's going to run away with this.
As a side note, South Africans play difficult golf courses well.
They do play them great.
Just in general. I mean, for at the end of day one, you had Christian Bezuidenhout, Grace, Oosthuizen. Yeah. They just tend to, they tend to grind well, don't they? I think.
They're good in the wind, aren't they? I mean, Kiawah, windy golf course. Lots of other variables to deal with, and they're just good in those conditions. I think it's the same for Shane Lowry. Like, to be honest, he's a pretty good shot maker. That's why he did well at the Open. Obviously, won the Open there, links course. I think there's some fairly strong comparisons with a place like Kiawah Island.
One parting comment just before we get onto the course, just around the players. Brad Marek. Can we just try and just unpick that a tiny bit?
Okay, you're gonna have to fill me in.
So Brad Marek's one of the
PGA pros, wasn't he?
PGA pros playing the event, who was seen.
The lunging.
I don't even know how to describe it. Do you reckon that's just like guy at the clubs, just local country clubs gone? Like, I'll tell you what, 100,000 if you can do this on the range pre-tournament. It's a sensational look. The most bizarre stuff you've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Did you not see it? He was doing all this.
The
I didn't see that. No.
oh, his warm up routine was like
Miguel Angel Jimenez. Is it? Yeah.
On crack. Like
Really?
he was doing like one-footed arabesques and like just like bringing like
Bulgarian split
over.
squats and all sorts of random stuff in the middle of the range.
Think about holding a club out, each end in front of you, a grip end and club end, and then lunging forward, twisting, lifting, bringing it back down, then bringing your leg up behind you. It was just so weird. But
so funny though.
He's getting all the
either a
airtime.
dare or he's just a complete nut job. I mean, it was. I thought it was brilliant to watch. But yeah, just a funny side note.
That was good.
Regarding the course, though, it looked really good, didn't it? I mean, we say this.
It looked amazing.
You've not played this one, have you, Bruce?
I've
No, you have.
played it,
You have.
Yeah.
Resemble kind of what you felt when you. I know you said you played it when you jet lagged, but
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Yeah, I remember it being pretty challenging. Maybe not a little wider fairways, perhaps, but then kind of when you go much wider than the fairways, it's like dead almost. So in a way, I mean, there's not loads of rough there. It's kind of like you're on the fairway, or you then maybe into some sandy waste areas and some reeds. It's like, yeah, when the wind's blowing, you can see how it's a really quite difficult test. But no, I mean, it's an awesome parcel of land, kind of. Yeah, I mean, just I don't know if you call it. It's not really a dunescape, but it is this sort of parcel of land, kind of right between the mainland and almost sandy beaches. And yeah, it's just a very, very unique.
Shades of Castle Stuart in terms of the routing. So that like figure of eight thing's quite cool, and that's when they looked at the aerials, it's almost exactly the same in terms of the way the course is routed as Castle Stuart. You play out, you loop round across the top, then you play back underneath, and it's I thought it was uncanny, to be honest.
I thought it was really nice seeing them play in the wind, and really. That 17th they moved forward for the first 2 days. That was, I think they were playing at 210, and they were like really like struggling with it. And it kind of, there's a level of connection you can feel there when you think, yeah, I'd struggle as well, which I think was quite nice. But I have a running sort of gag that if you go play a links course in Britain, and it's like 25, 30 mile an hour winds, and you say to the starter, fucking hell, this is windy.
Oh, you want to say a windy day?
This isn't wind. This is just a gentle breeze. Well, Ewan Murray, when it was like 20 mile an hour, and Andrew Coulthard was like 20 mile an hour wind, and they were clearly struggling into this wind, and they were both like, yeah, well, I wouldn't really call it a wind. I mean, it's just a stiff breeze. This isn't proper wind like you get in the British Isles. I think it is proper wind. I think this is hard.
15 mile an hour, though, it wasn't killer stuff, was it? Like it can step up a lot from there.
But when they had 210 in to a par 3, and they're playing it as if it's 250, I mean, that's a wind.
Probably about right, though, isn't it? I think.
I mean, the par 3s are so long there. That's what I do definitely remember that kind of sticking out. It's like, wow, okay, you just, and even holes like 17, for example, it's like it's carry over a lake.
It's chronic, that 17, water, isn't it?
Yeah, and even on the final day when it's downwind and then you're running into some long grass at the back. I mean, that was I thought that was like one of the best shots that Mickelson hit, actually, just to kind of tactically just duff it or chop it out of that long stuff without then running into the water and just managing to two-putt and take his bogey. Like, there's just a lot of danger on that golf course. And you can see how, doing some serious meditation practice stands you in good stead there.
Can we just take a moment for Mickelson's 71st hole? So he's gone long, downwind, tactical duff, got a putt across the green, which he puts to, say, 4 feet. Then on the 71st hole
changes
of a major, changes his putting grip.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Really?
Did you not spot that? Oh, my God.
Because he was claw grip most of the way, wasn't he?
No. It was non-claw grip for the entire thing. So he'd gone back traditional. And then he just gets out. Did you not know this?
No, I can't believe this.
Gets to a 4-footer where if he makes double, I think the lead drops to one shot. And then it's like, right, shit, this is now on. So he gets over this putt. And then you just see the sneaky claw grip just creeping in.
I could not believe
what are you doing? That's what I mean. You've got to be your brain has got to be operating in a completely different way to anyone else's to be able to do that.
Just be like, this feels right. Yeah.
Yeah. Good reminder there, Tom, because
Does that not just scream of? I mean, it's not mental frailty, but
no,
to put away for 70 holes and then get to the 71st when you're leading, suddenly going like, oh shit, I need to change grip here. I mean,
no, I think the total opposite. I think that's the sign of somebody who understands his game well and is like, again, it's no fear, is it? It's not like
he's just totally locked in. He's not missed a load of short putts and then all of a sudden
he's but then he's just thought, I don't feel comfortable on this. I want to move to the claw grip. I mean, I've got no idea what's going through his head there, but I think fair play. That's really hard to do. And I mean, if he misses it and then goes on to lose the tournament, then fair. We're probably going to talk about it. Yeah. Anyway, absolutely incredible. Quick one. Will it be repeated? Will we see Mickelson maybe contend at St. George's, the US Open, or are we going to see?
For me, his golf game just doesn't stack up. Can't see it. There's no reason. I mean. If the wind blows at George's, it's not going to be there's no water, but it's not a remarkably different course to the one he's just won on. So, it's a long, there's rough left and right that's going to penalize you. There's no reason why he can't.
He won that, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, he'd show up with form like that. He played better than everyone in the field.
Yeah.
Seems like it would be tough to repeat, but.
Yeah,
he's taking 2 weeks off now, isn't he? So
have you seen what he's
going
doing?
back to his home.
He's on a sun lounger just drinking wine. Have you seen him on Twitter?
No.
He's just like necking wine out of the bottle.
Oh, really?
He's just...
because obviously US Open, that is the one he really wants more than any other. Was it 5 second place finishes? Something like that. In his backyard at Torrey Pines. So, I mean, the weight of expectation is a tricky thing, isn't it, to deal with? But wow, I mean that would be incredible if he
some showing.
Yeah, if he does well there.
I'm just going to move us on to a couple of other kind of closing tidbits. Wouldn't mind just rounding off a little bit more travel stuff, Bruce. I think you're in Ganton. It would be nice to talk about that, perhaps just a little bit in terms of playing Ganton. And also that's just a sort of possible segue into a new feature that we're thinking about running, which is a bit of insight on the driving range as well, which we're going to come on to. But Bruce, do you want to just take it away on Ganton? Because it's not a course any of us have visited together or anything around that part of the world. And I was actually meant to be up there as well last week, but sadly couldn't make it. Good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brilliant course. Went up to play a match there last Saturday, Sunday. Driving up on the Friday. Obviously, we had a huge amount of rain in the UK over the last few weeks. And driving up the M1, I mean, the windscreen wipers were on full lock. Just going absolutely nuts for probably the best part of an hour and a half, 2 hours of that 3-hour journey. So yeah, got there, stayed in the dormy house, which was lovely, and got ready to tee it up on Saturday morning thinking, the course could be quite wet. I mean, our home track is, and a lot of other places I think are really, really soft underfoot and there's a lot of lying water, and literally did not see a puddle at all the whole way around Ganton. I mean, it drains so unbelievably well there. We're obviously big fans of sandy and acidic soil, and that is literally the definition of sandy and acidic turf. And it's just an absolutely incredible course and brilliant club as well. Like, you made feel so welcome, terrific membership. And actually, there's a huge amount of history there, particularly with the amateur game. A lot of prestigious events that have been held there.
Ryder Cup as well, I believe, over time.
Yeah, I think it's one of the only courses that's hosted a Ryder Cup, Walker Cup, and maybe a Curtis Cup as well. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
And hosted the English amateur as well. Like some really great stories there. Michael Benalek shot 61 in the final of the English amateur round there.
Unbelievable.
And yeah, David Kelly, who was a member of our club, Blackwell, was playing him in the final, and I think went round in level par and found himself 11 down. So, there's some pretty awesome stories there. And yeah, I mean, I just encourage anyone who is up in that part of the world. It's obviously, off the beaten track, not far from Scarborough, but just a really, really good test of golf.
I was speaking to someone about it recently, and they described it as having the hardest 4 finishing holes in golf.
I thought that was Deal.
Well, he said that it just goes from ridiculous length par fours to a ridiculous length par three, and finishing with a ridiculous length par four, usually all into the wind and pretty savage. Is that fair or?
Yeah, I mean the wind. So the wind goes in the way you play it. I mean, they're not going to all be into the wind because there is a bit of change of direction there. But yeah, I mean, 15 is a long par four off the back tee. And if I think that tends to play into wind, and if you're playing it off the championship tees, which we didn't do, that's 495 yards with a couple of bunkers to sort of carry around about 250, 260. Yeah. So you're playing that into wind, that is obviously like a 4.5. Then you spin back the other way, you go down 16. That's got a huge bunker, probably 200 yards from the tee box, which isn't really in play, but then it's flanked by tree either side. And then you play into like a elevated green. Again, another long hole. You can't really. You've just got a slot driver there, and then probably hit a really good long iron in as well. And it used to have gorse behind the green, which meant that if you were out on clubbing there, like you could hit 2 really good shots and find yourself in a gorse bush, but that's just been cleared out, I think, for maybe to allow it to regeneration. They're doing quite a lot of interesting work there in terms of stripping out bits of gorse and restoring some of the width that the course had previously. And then, 17, I mean, that's like I don't know, is it probably 220 plus yards, perhaps? I didn't actually get to play it because we're playing foursomes. Yeah. And then 18, you kind of finish, and it's a fairly sharp dogleg left. Not as long, but still, north of 400 yards. So it's, it is a very, very tough course, but kind of like an inland links. There's a lot of gorse out there. So
it's not a tree-lined heathland, is it? That's what I've heard. It's kind of like a links inland with heather, rather than kind of if you're going there expecting the Berkshire or something of that ilk. It's not quite like that, is it?
Yeah, I don't think I really remember much in the way of heather, but there's a lot of gorse, and there's a few trees, and just a great mixture of holes. Some like really, really challenging par fours, and a couple of par fives even that are really tight off the tee, but you can be rewarded if you hit 2 good shots. So I definitely encourage anyone who gets a chance to play there to go and play it. It's such a year round, it's in fantastic condition.
And we've got a bit of a field trip to look forward to this weekend, haven't we, Tom? We're going to be going out to Cop Teeth.
Yeah, before we move on from Ganton, though, this is a shameless plug, but we obviously released recently. We released our Would You Rather golf course thing on the website that did which
the bucket list ranking.
That's right, and you could vote on whether you'd rather play this course or that course, and Ganton did very well on that.
That's interesting because it just sneaks into the world top 100, I think, doesn't it? Whereas
it got in 70th place in the top 100, but that means it's beating places like Ardfin and the Victoria Club, and
its Trump actual ranking is like 90 odd, isn't it?
Yeah,
the world.
So, and that ranking is quite an interesting thing because the more people that play, the more a realistic view we get of what people actually want to play, and we've had over 10,000 votes on that, and we're still getting more, which is pretty cool, and it's pumping out. But Ganton's done pretty well there, and it's a course I really want to get to.
Probably want to zone in on. I think we'll take the results from that and probably talk about that on another part.
But yeah, we're going to Copper Teeth. Sunday.
Yeah, which is Varden and Colt, and we're going with the. With the UK's preeminent golf historians. If you like black and white pictures of bunkers, then Hainsey is your man. So we're playing there with him on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. It's a local course. It's kind of a place not been for a number of years, and you've not played it at all, have you, Tom? So that should be exciting. No. But we'll cover it then. Final closing chapter of this podcast. Anyone who's been in the UK for the last month will know we've had a deluge of rain. It's been pretty tricky to get out there and beat golf balls. I've snuck out to Bromsgrove driving range a couple of times and just sort of reeled off, got a few reps in for the weekend. And I just can't believe the garbage you listen to in the neighbouring bays. And I wonder if there's space for a new feature in the pod.
Overheard at
the driving range, and whether people want to just stealth send in some audio clips from their favourite driving range bay antics. Because I've seen one guy literally not get the ball airborne for half an hour. His mate comes into the bay next to him, and then he goes into some sort of full Pete Cowan episode with him. he's down on the floor with alignment sticks. He's holding his head. It's like, it really is the most remarkable behavior. I don't know what it is when people stand on a driving range with their mates. They all of a sudden inherit the sort of swing skills of Butch Harmon, and it's just fucking nuts.
I also think it's a parody of Kunu from Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh yeah,
it's just like I've heard people at driving range, and I think I've seen the same guy as you, Sam, but in a different at a different time. But literally, I'm in the bay next to him, and it's like warfare. I'm having to drop because he's shanking balls into the thing next to me. His mate turns up and he's giving advice, and he's like, "You need to use less arms. That's too much arms. Less arms. Less arms." Well, more arms than that. It's like honestly, it's so weird.
I'd be really interested to hear some of the just garbage that comes out from some of these stuff. So if you have some hilarious sound bites from the driving range, maybe send them in. Maybe we can put them up through the pod.
Yeah.
That could be very, very entertaining.
Possible idea. I'm thinking on my feet, but
can we just have a very short moment on the fact that my irons are here?
Yeah, of course,
out,
didn't you?
Yeah, you've spoiled it now, Sam. Come on, we were getting ready to tee that up for.
I'm sorry.
An absolutely incredible reveal. But no, I mean, it is true, isn't it? Mills, you've been waiting a little longer than Sam and I, haven't you? Because of stock issues and being the most popular irons in the game right now, by the looks of things.
Well, it's the shaft. Apparently, the shaft was the pickle to get their hands on. The Modus 105 stick.
Ladies Modus 15 gram
senior flex.
Senior flex. That's it. Just something that just lost your friend here, Tom.
Yeah, they arrived. I've been waiting. I've been watching you boys stripe blades for the last month, and I've been waiting for mine to arrive. But they landed yesterday, and I managed to get out and play 18. And the difference is out of this world.
Laser show by all accounts.
So just to put it all in perspective, really, for our listeners, you've gone out at Blackwell, first time with the new irons in the bag, and you've basically shot your lowest score ever around there, haven't you? Essentially.
It wasn't a comp round, but my lowest ever comp round's 74, and it was a 73 yesterday with a double 18.
So there you go.
Literally nosebleed double.
I mean, that just does not happen, does it?
him.
Really, with a new set of clubs, people are like, we need to take a bit of time to get used to them. The fact you just put them straight in play and you've gone out and ripped it is fantastic.
My
obliterated the field.
Obliterated the field. My iron play is easily the worst part of my game. Like, I'm rubbish. With this sort of 2.5, I've talked about it before, the 2.5 flat irons now, I can really attack the ground and not worry about it flipping on me and ending up with straight poles. And I can just hit it as hard as I like into the ground and know it's going to go straight. It's unbelievable. I've never had that.
Yeah. Makes a huge difference, the setup. It's massive with drivers as well.
Because you were fit. So this is not an equipment plug. This is not a plug for TaylorMade at all. But you had a driving range fitting previously with someone who stocks all different brands, and you had the Titleist, I think the AP3s or something.
That's right.
The configuration for those is clearly wrong because the shafts aren't right. The lie angles are not right for you. Nothing's really changed in your swing. The heads are probably perfectly gameable for you, for want of a cringeworthy expression. But then the difference of going to a manufacturer fitting, where actually then it doesn't really become a case of which brand of clubs do you want to end up in. It becomes a case of how do we configure these best for your game? And he's like, yeah, well, it's just got to get the lie angles here. Like, I can't believe you're playing these. And you just think people always go, you've got to get fit. You've got to get fit. And it's just such a constant barrage that you hear. And none of it makes any sense, because that's like saying, go and get fit, but it doesn't really matter who fits you. The quality of the fit is what makes the difference there. The fact that understanding that what's going wrong with the iron game, and then thinking, right, these are the things that need to fix. That's the value.
Well, fundamentally, the problem is that golf clubs have just become more and more upright. They're far more upright now than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. And that's basically because, to fix someone's slice, if you just make a golf club upright, you're going to incentivize them to hit more of a draw and get a high handle. And the reality is that's actually not, that's good for a kind of weekend golfer who's not that kind of keen on practicing. But there's very, very few good players, probably, you know, in fact, there's an inverse correlation in terms of how high your hands are at impact and how well you hit the ball. So lie angle is absolutely massive. Like, as you were saying there, Tom, the only way you could hit those old clubs of yours out the middle was to have really, really high hands and a really, really high handle at impact. And if you made a good swing where the hands come through a little bit lower, you're just going to smother hook this thing out the heel of the club all day long. So, I mean, lie angle is definitely one of the most important things to look at on a club fitting. Like, the vast majority of tour players will get a driver that is maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees flatter than the stuff that you just buy off the rack. Because as I said earlier, like the stuff off the rack, the stuff off the rack is just designed to help people draw the ball at all costs and not necessarily doing it through a good technique. And if you gave a tour pro like a driver that's just off the rack, like they would, the head just isn't going to be, I mean, the club's not going to be right for them for all sorts of reasons, but the fact that the lie angle is way out and the toes way up in the air is a huge problem. So lie angle, definitely one of the most important things to look at on a club fitting, and something where, kind of like lofts as well, like the tolerances and all the standards for manufacturers have changed a lot over the last 20, 30 years. Everything's become a bit more upright. Everything's just become a lot more de-lofted. And as a result, like, it kind of encourages you to swing the club in a way that's probably not that effective.
Well, I mean, I dare say my lofts are strong. I mean, they are strong. Like, I can't get around that. But the flat bit is important. And I do think
it's huge.
I'm not bagging the fit that I had 2 years ago or whatever. But if you go to someone that sells, stocks lots of different clubs like Callaway and Titleist and TaylorMade, and you never really know if they're selling you something because they got 5 sets of it left around the back and they just want to get rid of one. You know, if you go to Callaway or Ping or whatever, to a specific brand, like Sam says, there's no agenda. They're just like, you're already buying from them. You already know they're going to sell you their product and they're going to make the money. So it's like, okay, you can work out the head pretty quickly. That's not really much of an issue. Get the shaft sorted, get the lie angle sorted. And I think fitting, like Sam says, is extraordinarily important, but the fitter is the most important piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, because you got to know what kind of player you're dealing with. If it's someone who's pretty keen to practice and improve and tinker with their swings, like, you know, we would all fall into that category, then you kind of fit them for a club that's going to encourage them to do what they're looking to do with their golf swing and improve their golf swing. But if you're just looking for a weekend golfer who wants to hit a draw and swing way from the inside and up and out on this ball, then just fit them with a really upright club and they'll be okay. But it's probably, you know, if you start improving your swing, which you have done, Tom, I know Sam said, you know, it's not changed loads, but, you know, your swing's definitely without doubt in a better place now than it would have been when you got fitted for those clubs. And as a result, you need to update the equipment.
It feels like a long pod, that, but covered a bit of ground. Anything else to look forward to? We've got a little bit of golf coming up this weekend. We're heading into club championship season, I think, up and down the UK now. So that's only a couple of weeks away for us. We've got a little bit of travel planned next month. And we'll be back next week with another spicy pod with a bit of luck.
Spicy. We haven't done spicy since we've been born. Anyway, as always, guys, if you do want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at Cookie Jar Golf on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yep.
And until then, keep your ears peeled. We'll speak to you next time.
Watch this.